Welcome to HomesteadHow. In today's video, we're going to talk about what our homestead would do in the event of a U.S. coronavirus outbreak. A big part of being a homesteader is being self-sufficient and being prepared. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. In today's video, we're going to talk about what our homestead would do in a grid-down situation, whether that be because of a coronavirus outbreak or some natural disaster. If we had to lock down our homestead and be self-sufficient, and that happened right now, today, what would we do? We're going to explore that in today's video, as our channel is named HomesteadHow. Learn with us. Come along with us for this journey and learn as we learn, and we'll figure out what we would do in a situation like this. The coronavirus currently has 500 million people in China under lockdown. To put that in perspective, that is over 6% of the population of the entire planet. But to put it in even closer perspective, the entire population of the United States is right around 330 million. So if we look at China, you have the entire population of the United States times 1.5 under lockdown in China right now. The purpose of this video isn't to scare people about the coronavirus, rather to help people think and prepare. In the event of a U.S. coronavirus outbreak, the number one thing we would do on our homestead is go on a full lockdown. The number one objective is to not come in contact with any other humans whatsoever. And in order to do that, we would need to lock down our homestead. One of the first things we would do is close and lock our front gate. I'd lock this as well. Obviously, that's not going to hold people out. If they want to get through that gate, they can get through that gate. A secondary precaution I may take is to cut down one of these trees, maybe a larger one, have it fall down, and then block the entire driveway. The third thing I was thinking about doing, I don't know if this is a smart idea or not, but would be to make up a sign, and this would be the truth, make up a big sign and put it on that gate, and the sign would say, "We are heavily armed, move on." Now, obviously, people could read that and still want to come through, but if I was trying to loot houses and go door to door, like if there was a big outbreak, people were running out of food and panicking, there could be people going door to door trying to steal stuff from people. If I saw a sign like that, I would just listen to it and I would move on. Why not just go to the next house? And the fact of the matter is, it's a true statement. We are heavily armed. And in a grid down situation, we're going to have those at the ready. So that would be the third thing I would do. Close and lock the gate, fell a tree in front of this, assuming that our vehicle's still working, we got gas so that we could move it out of the way so that we could get out, and then put a sign on the gate. The fourth thing I would do would be starting to train our dogs so that Baxter and Ray are great dogs. They're also really good guard dogs. When we take our girls to school, they go in the car, and anybody that gets near the car, the dogs go nuts barking at them. So having the dogs watching, because that would be the number one thing, is we don't want any humans approaching our house. And if they do, the dogs start barking, they can alert us quickly. I'm also trying to think of some other things, like maybe putting some trip wires out or something like that so that we could have like an alarm or something that we MacGyver together to go off in case someone is trying to approach our house during this lockdown situation. So those are some of the first things I think we would do. One more thing I thought of before we leave the front gate is I think I would also park one of our vehicles right here up against this gate. Obviously, I'd take the keys out of it, lock it up, but that would just be another sort of fail-safe from having anyone come through here. Obviously, they could still get through, they could walk around the gate, they could go up there, but it is a really long driveway, and I think anything we could do to discourage someone from trying to come through here, including putting a sign up, like I mentioned, that says we're heavily armed, I think would be a really good idea. So those are some things we would do to immediately lock things down. Now let's go back up to the house and do our homestead chicken goat area and see what we would do over there. Is it recording? All right, another thing we would do is pay special attention to our little chickens. One thing I was thinking was we could leave them in this greenhouse more, where it's a lot warmer, care for them more closely, and perhaps that would lead to more egg production, which we could then, of course, eat. The other thing that I would do is this greenhouse. It's still freezing cold out. It's like 2 degrees out right now. Super cold out. So we can't start planting seedlings yet. Or can we? One thing I was thinking about was we've got a really nice little indoor wood stove in our wall tent. I'll show you a little clip of that from a previous video. You guys have probably seen it.
I don't know how much she used.
Oh, it's looking good now. We could take that little wood stove, put it in the greenhouse, get the chimney out through the roof there nice and safe, and that way we could heat the greenhouse up sooner and start planting our seedlings sooner so that we can extend our growing season even more further than we could naturally with our greenhouse. So those would be some things, is thinking about food preparation, because we do have a lot of food canned and ready to go, but we're going to go through that food quickly. I know we would. We also have some long-term food storage. We have some rice that we've stored, and we've shown a video about that in the past, so we would start breaking into that as well. So I think we need to go into stir-fry season now and start having rice for dinner every single night. But anything we could do to start growing food faster ourselves would be an important goal. Another consideration would be our wood heat. Like I said earlier, it's like 0 degrees out right now. It's super cold. We have our outdoor wood burner, which you guys have seen in many of our past videos. And that heats our lower unit, our Airbnb rental, all of our water in our workshop. So that thing is, it's a monster. It does a lot of work for us. But in the event of a lockdown situation, I would completely turn that off. Now, we have propane as a backup. But when those tanks are empty, then we're out of propane. So I would want to conserve that propane as much as possible. So I think what we would do is turn the green monster off, keep the propane as a backup, not use it unless it's an emergency, and then go 100% with our indoor wood stove, which is in our living room. So this is our little indoor wood burner. I think we would set up camp in here, close these doors off. Now that wood stove puts out a lot of heat, but it's not enough heat for our entire home. We have a long ranch home. The back bedrooms don't get warm at all when we use that indoor wood stove. But I think what we would do was sort of set up camp and put some bunk beds in here so that we're all centrally located around the heat source. And the main goal there is to use the least amount of firewood as possible so we don't have to cut into our propane, and so that we can heat ourselves as long as possible. Now, during this whole grid down situation, I imagine we would also have to stay busy. We might get bored just sitting around for a while. Of course, there would be a lot of work caring for the chickens. We'd have to be cutting down firewood. In a lockdown situation like this, I imagine we will have a lot of time on our hands. And a lot of that time is going to be filled with cutting and gathering firewood. I think we will want to preserve as much gas as we can as possible for cutting down firewood. That's probably where our gas is going to provide the most value, being able to heat us in these extremely cold Wisconsin winters. After thinking through this entire scenario, my biggest concern still remains our water situation. If you watch our channel, you'll know that in a previous episode, we did attempt to dig an emergency water well by hand. We actually spent a good part of the summer trying to do just that, and unfortunately, we failed. Our only option for water now is excellent water, but it's over 120 feet deep, and we need an electric pump to get it out. I just don't know what we would do in the event of a grid down situation in regard to water. One option would be to do some sort of rain catchment system. We've done a little bit of that, but that's not going to help us in wintertime. We don't have any water sources on our homestead, so we'd be forced to leave our homestead. The only other thing I'm still considering is there any way I could get enough solar power to power my electric well pump that we have now? I currently have a small solar setup. It's about 1500 watts, but it's not enough to power that pump. What do you guys think? What would you do in this situation? Water's the most important thing to think about, and it's where we are lacking the most. Any ideas you have, please leave a comment down below. We appreciate your input and learning together. Thanks for watching.